Liam Collins was a U.S. Special Forces colonel and former advisor to Ukraine's military. Colonel Collins, the battle for the Donbas, the second phase of this war, is now underway. How different will this be from what we've seen before?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to have a lot of differences in some aspects, right? You've got the same poorly trained Russian soldiers, right? Their morale is even lower than it was at the start of the war. By and large, the same poor leadership by the Russian forces. So that hasn't changed. So there's no reason to believe that they'll perform differently. You know, we hear of, okay, they've repositioned, so now there's more Russian forces in the east. But also Ukraine's been able to reposition their forces. So it's not that they have a significant, right? I mean, they still maintain their overwhelming combat power advantage, but the ratio is probably not unchanged from where it was elsewhere in the country. The biggest change is, right, they'll have shorter supply lines, and the terrain is a little more favorable to Russia massing their forces.
To those who don't understand their geography or perhaps their history, can you explain the strategic significance of the Donbas?
Yeah, I mean, it's not any more strategically significant than other territory. What makes it significant is it's right on the border of Russia. And so that means it's easier for them to supply. As you'll recall, right, they had a hard time maintaining the supplies for those forces that were going all the way from Belarus to Kyiv. It's much shorter there. It's right on the Russian border. So they won't have their logistical system, obviously, is in a terrible state. But it makes it easier to maintain that. And they're operating from the Donbas, which they've effectively owned for 8 years now. And so it's a little easier. And when we think about the Donbas, it's about the size of Ireland. And so it's still a fairly large territory.
How well prepared is Ukraine and its forces? Will weapons that have been given from some European countries make a difference here?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, Ukraine is well trained, right? They reformed their defense establishment with the assistance of the West over the last 8 years, and we've seen that play out to date. But they absolutely need these weapon systems, right? Because they're getting attrited throughout this conflict, right? Throughout the 6-7 weeks of war, just as Russia is. So they don't have that combat power that Russia has. So they absolutely need those weapon systems to replace what they're losing. And that's by and large what it is. What that assistance is. It's not to give them new capability. It's really to replace systems that are being lost throughout the conflict. And so they're gonna fight, well, like they have up until this point. But they will take some losses, right? Russia is going to make some gains, and you're going to see the red blob move in places.
Colonel Collins, thanks so much for your time and expertise. Good to have you on the program. Liam Collins, who is a U.S. Special Forces colonel and a former advisor to Ukraine's military.